But man, we're leaping, boys. There is many earthquakes. Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Today I want to showcase the Leapquake Barbarian, and it's actually getting quite some new buffs tomorrow when the PTR starts. So there's this leap, and it can create earthquakes with an aspect, and this is basically how it looks. You can just leap around and create a bunch of earthquakes, and they increase your damage, and they also proc some nice cool effects that you can make use of. And we're also adding kick into the build, and you can kind of see here already how crazy the dot is. And this earthquake dot seems to be very special and already working for scaling with crit chance for some reason. And I'm not sure if this is going to change. It has damage over time, but as you can see here, it's the scaling with crit chance, and our kicks can hit up to like hundreds of million. You can already see here kind of how many damage numbers this is already doing right now before all these changes. And it reminds me a lot of Ball Lightning. And you can also, with Ground Stomp, you can create more earthquakes, and potentially you can also have almost perma Wrath of the Berserking. You can see how fast my Berserking resets whenever we hit the Ground Stomp. Like boom. And then we can reset it almost instantly again. You see here, Berserk already is up again. I mean, you need some targets for this, but this is actually pretty cool, pretty insane stuff to see. So there is currently this Bulkatos legendary. It's saying leap creates earthquakes. So whenever I leap, you see there's like an earthquake on the ground. And this is basically the main principle of the build. And it seems to be pretty strong. And these generic damage things, like wherever like this earthquake deals damage, it's getting a buff next patch. And on top of this, there's also a new interactions with the ancients, which we're gonna get in here in a second. I'm gonna have the planner here in the description. And the new item that is coming here is the Ariad's Burring. So this basically means that your ancients can now also create earthquakes whenever they leap. This is here in the patch notes, and they're also changing the Giant Strides legendary, which is the current ring that gives that reduces the cooldown of leap. This is what allows me here to perma-leap. And what they're doing now is that the cooldown reset of 9 seconds also happens on a single boss. So these like right now you can't leap on a single target. You only get so much cooldown back. But after the patch, you actually will be able to perma-leap on those targets, and that's gonna be a tremendous help for perma leaps. And with leap, there's also a rune that gives you fury. So whenever I kick, I spend all my fury, and whenever I need fury, I just start leaping. And you can see here how crazy my fury goes up. If I just throw like 2 leaps in, my fury is up, and we have 300 fury because more fury actually is buffing our damage even further. And then we have the Wrath of the Berserk that also increases our damage the more we the more fury we spend, up to 100%. And yeah, all this combination is pretty insane. And I think it's also going to be pretty good for... You see there, I think there was a kick for 319 million just now. And yeah, we've experimented a lot with this, and it's looking to be pretty strong. We also equipped the Ramaladnis because it seems the earthquakes and the leap itself also works with that. So you have the dual wield selected on leap, so you can see here whenever I place my dot, it's already ticking for like 400 twice a second, 400,000, and this is without any buffs. So doubling from the berserking is happening, and then you have your Wrath stuff and your normal berserking, and you also have this battle fever. Whenever a brawling skill hits an enemy, you just gain berserking, and yeah, leap is a brawling skill, so you can just hit an enemy, boom, and you have berserking already. And since you like perma leaping, your berserk never goes down basically. But there is some pretty interesting ways. I will explain more about these ancients here in a bit, but let's go over the setup in general. So we've already talked about the Bulkatos. This is most likely going to get another buff next season. It also gives you damage reduction. And the cool thing is this is kind of an offensive aspect, but it's on a defensive slot. So you have this Leap creates Earthquake. You can put this on your pants, on your chest, or even on the amulet. And that can make quite a difference, actually, because you're basically getting +1 slot, and Barbarian already has many slots because you have a lot of them. And then we also have the Ground Stomp creates an Earthquake here on the weapon. So this one most likely is also going to get a buff. It's also giving us a 1.5 multiplier. You can kind of see whenever I'm doing it here that I have this icon here. There's a 50x damage increase. You also see it's going up. And this is kind of like a red Earthquake, and the Ground Stomp kind of creates like a more bluish one, you can see. So these are the distinguishing. And this is already doing like a tremendous amount of damage. If I just go and cast this here, it's already ticking for like 2 million almost twice a second. So it's pretty insane already, because it's 10,000 weapon damage, and we don't know how high it's gonna go. So the Groundstorm fits in really well. There's also a rune that reduces your ultimate cooldown by 2 seconds, and that's basically how I reset the Wrath of the Berserk. You guys can see here how we almost instantly reset it, and now I could just cast it again. So it's pretty crazy with the cooldown resets. And yeah, in general, there's even more buffs coming to this build. As again, we have this new item here. And this one can also help you with, without having engines on your bar, is my guess, to create more engines and more earthquakes. And those earthquakes scale our damage in 2 ways. They're essentially double dipping. So whenever I equip this legendary here, so right now it doesn't really work that well, because the ancient that is summoned is not creating any earthquakes. But you can see when we lucky it, I think I missed it. There was an earthquake, a leap guy that's coming out, an ancient that is then casting a leap. Hello, where is he at? Sometimes he doesn't want to proc, probably. Maybe there's also some bug. Oh yeah, right, okay, yeah, I figured it out. Like right now, sorry. Right now you need the Call of the Ancients on your bar, because if you don't have it on your bar, this is also what they're changing, it's not triggering. So that's why it wasn't triggered. So we just need it on the bar, and then here, there you can see the Ancient spawning. And this Ancient will also, you can see here, he keeps spawning basically. And this Ancient will also trigger earthquakes with the new uniques, and you can see you can have multiple ancients at the same time active as well. We will see exactly how it works, but he keeps jumping in and basically fighting together with us against these enemies. So this requirement will be removed. Call of the Here, legendary powers that require Call of the Ancients to be equipped no longer have that requirement. So you can basically, without having Call of the Ancients on the bar, because we want to keep the Wrath of the Berserk, you can basically play the new Pence, Ariad's Burring, and summon Mudwig, and he leaps, summon, who's the guy called? Korlik, who creates earthquakes and leaps around. So that's going to be pretty cool, and that's going to add even more damage to us, because well, every earthquake that we have on the ground deals damage, and we also have a rune here. Let me see where it is right now. Rumble, which not only increases earthquake damage, but also gives us a damage multiplier of 10x against bosses and crowd-controlled enemies for each active earthquake that we have. And you can see here, once we start stacking some earthquakes, we have actually like 6, we can sometimes even have 7 of these stacks. You see there was a 7 for a second, and this is basically the extra damage that we deal. And if our Ancient, with the new legendary, also summons more leaps and more earthquakes, then we're gonna get a higher multiplier. So maybe we can even get, you know, almost double damage from that glyph, because our Ancient just keeps summoning more earthquakes. This is like at least a theory, we will test it all on the PTR. Okay, so current setup, Harlequin's Crest. I'm using Rage of Haragoth here, but I think in the end you will just use some defensive Juggernaut chest here for your armor cap, and I mean it doesn't really change a thing right now. Then we have either the Adventurous Gloves, so if this works with the new pants, or we're gonna have this on the pants and this on the amulet. But for now I'm just playing, like this is the highest DPS setup with all these engines, because it doesn't work. So you're playing Edgemaster here, you don't need rend ranks, I just have it, the crit chance is important. Then we have ranks of Leap on the pants, and this one, like they're nerfing Talbot's Will, so I think it's going to be a pretty good choice for your pants to have +4 leap. Not only does it give you more damage, but it also reduces the cooldown. You can kind of see it's 9.3, and now will be 9.9, and you want to be close to that 9-second cooldown, so you can, you know, just leap around. Like right now, I'm using my pet to simulate higher cooldown rolls, because we will have, with the master working, we will have higher cooldown rolls on most of our gear. And also, I don't have cooldown on my amulet currently. So if I would just use, you know, like an amulet like this, our leap cooldown would already be super overkill. We would have 8 seconds, and I think that is ensuring us like between 7 and 8. There seems to be not some crazy attack speed scaling. You can see here we can almost always have between 6 and 7 earthquakes if you watch this number here. So that's also pretty cool. But yeah, either way, for now we are running the earthquake aspect here as well with damage. Then we have Ramaladnis. And we cannot choose runes on kick, and ground zone, but as you can see, the kick can hit in the hundreds of millions because it basically takes all your fury, and we're stacking a lot of it because we're all using Ramaladnis, it's a good combination, to have even more fury and more damage. Kick also helps us to keep everything vulnerable. Every 4 seconds we can have it vulnerable for 4. And then we have elements here. This one will be replaced later most likely with the glove effect, so we're gonna put Earthstriker here and put these gloves on, for example. Then we have the Grandfather because the Leapquake dot here from the Earthquake is very special and it can in fact crit, which is pretty weird, but that's how it works. So you guys can see, like I leave my stuff here and it crits, so it's pretty insane. On the rings we have our shout cooldown. In the end we might also want to be playing with this aspect here, Veteran's Warlock, because this is also changed in the patch notes and it now works for your kick as well. And then we could add Whirlwind or something to proc this. This is like a experimental setup, but for now I don't have it in. Again, the planner is right here. So right now we are playing the aspect of elements and giant strides, and then the amulet is Melted Heart of Selig. It has very nice synergy. First of all, it keeps us alive. It also gives us more resource generation, so it's easier for our resources with kick. And it gives us 60 maximum resources, which in turn helps with our Ramaladnis, further boosting our Earthquake and leap damage. And it also helps with our kick because, yeah, 60 resources is a big multiplier. And this kick is also getting buffed. Right now it's 20% for Fury. And I think the new kick is about 25. And it also has increased radius. So there's a lot of cool things happening to this build. And there's also the option to make kick work with overpowers. But I've not really been using that too much because the overpowers are getting a heavy nerf. So I think the kick damage, you guys saw like 300 million earlier, is already sufficient. I think I have some more clips here. Like here there's like 140 million hit, and like it varies a lot. Like obviously like how much fury you have and your weapon damage and how many earthquakes you have. You can see here I have 5 earthquakes. This would be a 50% damage increase. Then we have the big earthquake up from the ground zone. This is another 50% damage increase, and so on and so on. So we'll see how insane the scaling is. But I did some like napkin math, and it seems like that this thing is looking pretty good, and it's doing a lot of damage. So we basically have our earthquake ticks. I mean, without our pet, I was doing this test without the pet. It ticks for about 1,100,000. Then we have the leap DPS, it's about 6 million. And we have the kick DPS every roughly 6 seconds. So we have to calculate the DPS out of this. And it seems to be doing about 30, maybe even 40 million damage every second. And yeah, you guys know Duriel, for example, has 200 million life. It wouldn't one-shot Duriel, but I think that era is over for now. For most builds. But it will still kill Duriel in just a few seconds, basically. And I think that's pretty strong. And we'll see. I mean, obviously, a kick with 300 million in his face will kill him instantly. I'm not sure how consistent we can be with that, but yeah, the damage seems to be pretty high, and there is a lot of fun and a lot of potential in this build. I'm really looking forward to be testing this out on the PTR. So once we start kicking here, okay, that was like 140. We didn't hit all of our buffs. So once we get all our earthquakes up, and get all of our buffs up and get perma Wrath of the Berserking. 188, yeah, the kick damage is just going nuts at some point. It's hard to tell even sometimes. But yeah, this will also keep the target permanently vulnerable, and 200 million, yeah, just a bunch of stuff basically to further improve our DPS with all of this. So yeah, it's a pretty insane build, and it's also going to be a build where you can move around a lot. Like you will be very mobile, especially if if leap resets on a single boss. It's going to help you a lot on the boss. And shall you miss a leap, like you saw I did there, like let's say I'm just going to leap down here. See, I miss it, and then I can just proc Warcry and get my leap back from Marshall. They're nerfing Marshall a bit, but not by much. So I think it's still going to be a very viable option. And yeah, we'll see how the PTR is gonna go. But either way, I'm excited to test out this leap up and give it a real spin and a real try. And I think there is a lot of potential. I'll probably make an updated video. But for now, we have the planner here. I'm gonna put it in the description. This is all the stuff with the new things. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hope you enjoyed this overview. Leapquake was actually one of my favorite builds in Diablo 3. And I'm really happy to see it make a comeback in Diablo 4. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you on the PTR tomorrow. Take care, my friends. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.